Welcome to Aligned and Soulful Success, the podcast for high achieving first and second generation immigrants who are ready to align their ambitions with their soul's purpose. I'm your host, Kavita Melwani, a master intuitive success coach with over 2 decades of entrepreneurial experience and a decade dedicated to coaching. Together, we'll explore the unique challenges multicultural women face as they balance cultural expectations, family roles, and their professional ambitions, all while staying true to their authentic, divinely guided path. If you're ready to bridge your external success with your inner wisdom and rise into your purpose, then you're in the right place. Let's dive in. Hello, welcome to this week's episode of Aligned and Soulful Success. And today I actually am going to dive into the definition of success and where it comes from and how it might actually be impacting your quality of life and your fulfillment. So, how do you know if you have a narrow definition of success and why should you care, right? So, let me start there. When we have the narrow definition of anything, it creates a limitation. And when we have those limitations that are self-imposed, we end up noticing things that reinforce what we believe. And then our friends that we surround ourselves also hold similar beliefs. And then the result is that we believe that the world is exactly that, like that. And that is the truth. The thing is, if you have a narrow definition of anything, then your brain reinforces it, and then you are basically surrounding yourself to confirm that this is the right way, right? This is the way the world works, and this is the truth. And so when we do that and we stay in that realm, we actually believe that that's the truth of the world, and that's how the world works. When you start to question those beliefs, when you're willing to look beyond your own individual experience and the individual experiences of the people that are directly surrounding you, and start to question whether those beliefs are true, a lot of times we don't even know what beliefs we have, right? We just kind of think that's the way the world works, right? So this is where working on your truth, on your values, knowing what you actually believe, questioning those things, it's really helpful to do it with someone else. I know through receiving coaching and even the coaching that I have given to and provided for other people has helped them see things in a different way, opening up their mind, their perspectives, and realizing that their view of the world is based on conditioning. And it becomes just the way we think that's just the way it is. And it's in our subconscious programming, right? And so the subconscious is where we're holding those beliefs and the things that happened that created those beliefs. And a lot of those things were before the age of 7. And then before those ages, we may not even have all those memories, right? How many memories do you have before the age of 7? And then we just continue to reinforce those beliefs. And this is why subconscious work is so helpful. But you don't have to do subconscious work to start to question. And one of the ways that you can do that to start is by looking at certain things in your life, right? And so people come to me when they're feeling a lack of fulfillment. And oftentimes they think that they need to change something outside them. And maybe they do, right? But before we start to look at changing the external, where we really need to start is here with your beliefs, with your subconscious mind. What is it that you believe is true? What do you think is your definition of what a successful life, a successful business, a successful career is? And why do you want that? Why do you want the things that you want? And what do you think that's going to bring you? What are you going to feel? And those feelings that you really want are driving you towards the success, or the feelings that you don't want, right? So when it comes to breaking this down, we can start with the success, which I started talking about, right? Because we have a very narrow definition of success. We all do. Well, I guess it's not fair to say we all do. Most of us do, okay? Because it comes from our childhood, our subconscious programming, and then reinforced around us. And so you can see even if this may not completely make sense to you, or you're having a hard time accepting this, look around right now. Look around. If you're in the US, look around and see how people are holding on to their beliefs as truth. That is true. And there is the sense of their truth being the truth, right? And so not wanting to accept another person's point of view, not wanting to even open up that discussion, right? And so that's it's become extreme right now. It doesn't always show up that way. It just shows up as like, that's the way that's how it is. So I remember growing up in South Texas. So I grew up in South Texas. My parents immigrated from India, and I was born in California, and they were really trying to make it, in the world, as the immigrant experience is often, right? And so they are not educated in higher levels, right? So they were more entrepreneurs, business owners, and so was trying to succeed in that area in the traditional way in those years, right? And so a lot of time when we are in these places where we are surrounded by a certain beliefs and population, and then as an immigrant you come from a country and a culture that had certain beliefs, your family will try really hard to hold on to those beliefs, to preserve those beliefs, because they want to preserve your culture, right? And it feels like it's necessary for survival. And so what can happen is you move into an area where that kind of reinforces the beliefs that they come from, the values, or you can live in an area that questions and there's growth and they start to question, their beliefs. It really depends on what the experience was in the household. And a lot of times what will happen, if there are a lot of people that feel like they're from maybe from the same country, tend to congregate together because there's a sense of safety, right? It's like it feels safe. I mean, imagine you're coming to a different country. If you look at different countries, people that immigrate tend to congregate together, right? Because there's an understanding of the experience. So in South Texas, it was really small growing up, and there were very few Indian families, and the local culture are mainly Hispanic, Latinx, right? And so what happens is there's a deep thread of Christianity and Catholicism, and so some of the values are similar to traditional Indian families, right? And so my parents, when they immigrated in the 70s India version is what they brought with them, right? And so they're preserving that version of India instead of the 2024 version, let's say, right? And so they're preserving that. And then if the surrounding culture is reinforcing that's the way that things are, then that's the way that I was brought up, right? So there were very narrow roles for women, not a lot of exposure to possibilities of careers, not a lot of opportunities to see what's possible beyond, the very traditional structure of relationship and family. And, what is possible for me and what was possible for me was really small, right? That world view was really small. And I remember there was a time when my mother went to India for a trip, and she had gone before, but this specific trip she went back and something happened, and she came back and she said, wow, a lot of the girls in India are having careers and they're doing things, right? Beyond the goal of just getting married. And so, but by then I was like, junior, senior in high school. So, and I really wanted to be a doctor, and they had told me I couldn't do that. And so there's a lot of history there, but that was the conditioning that I had grown up with. So then there was also the definition of success. And the definition of success there was essentially success equals money. And it wasn't really as important in that area how you made the money, right? It's like not like, oh, he was a doctor. I think like besides being a doctor and that's seen as like noble, besides that, no other real career was seen as, better than another, right? It was just like about the money. And so this conditioning and programming continued on. And in a lot of immigrant groups, it is like the definition of success is money, because there's a survival mechanism there, right? It's like, well, in order to survive in this new country, we need to have money. That's the reality, right? And so the more money we have, the more opportunities we have, the more power we have. So that's success. And so anything else that doesn't fit in that is really not as important. And so that narrow definition of success, you can see pervasive in a lot of areas in the world. And so when we're just stuck on one definition, maybe it's not money for you, but whatever that is for you, it is important to look at beyond that narrowness and open and expand that definition, and expand it in a way not just on paper to just think that, but to actually feel that that's true. And that takes some effort and time. And when you are willing to do that, that is a step in the direction of having greater fulfillment. Because I can tell you, maybe for some people, that the definition of success equals money worked really well for them. But for a lot of people, that was not enough, right? And they felt like something was missing. And because the truth of who they were and their soul longed for something more than that. And so money it can be completely part of it, but it can't be the sole definition, right? And so measuring, it often goes as far as to measuring a person's worth is based on how much money they've made, right? And I mean, how many times have you heard, oh my God, this person, whatever, made X amount of money, and there's like this tone of admiration, right? And somehow they're better than people that haven't done that, right? And definitely considered more successful, right? So it's being reinforced constantly. But as long as we keep buying into it, then we continue to feel that lack of fulfillment, and you will continue to feel that lack of fulfillment. So expanding that and really believing it and really feeling it and collecting evidence of that and seeing that as possibility and starting to open those neural pathways, creating a new neural pathway in your brain, which you can do, according to research, you can continue to create neural pathways for your entire life, which is great because they used to think we couldn't do that by a certain age. So I'm going to recommend that if you're feeling a lack of fulfillment, if you're feeling like something's missing, well, first of all, I'm having a master class that for free on the October 11th. It's an hour long where I'll go more in depth into this, and you can receive some laser coaching on success with soul. The registration link will be in the show notes. And if you can attend, you can register and receive the recording. It'll be available for 2 weeks after. I know everybody's really has a full schedule. And if you can't, and that doesn't seem like something you want to do, then sit down and write what you think success is. How do you define whether someone is successful, and how do you define when someone is not successful? And really be clear about those attributes and see if you think that that's the way that everybody thinks, right? And if you're doing this, I'm assuming that you do not think that, right? And then start to look for things outside of that. How can you expand your definition? We don't have to take away what's in it. We can just expand it. So how can you expand it? What are other aspects of a successful life, of a successful career? And writing those pieces down, and then starting to look for evidence that that's true, that is also success. And when you start to open your mind to see that, you will start to notice that. So if you can, join me on October 11th, or do the exercise that I just outlined for you. Either way, in order to have a more fulfilling life and career and business, it's really important to question your conditioning, question your beliefs, question everything. Because if things are not feeling right, if they're not feeling in alignment, the only way it's going to feel better is to go inward and feel it through it and figure out what it is that you really want, what it is that your soul desires, instead of just going outside and changing everything over and over again, reaching those goals and not feeling the fulfillment still. So good luck with that exercise. If you want to contact me, if you have questions, you can contact me. My contact form will be in the show notes, and I look forward to hearing from you. Until next time, take good care. Bye.